I'm R. Sucharita, Government Degree College, Khairatabad, Hyderabad, Department of English. So we will continue the poem, that is poem Ecology, which is written by A.K. Ramanujan. So today we are going to do summary or the explanation of the poem Ecology. So the poet says that for a number of years, during every first rain, probably the beginning of summer season, he finds his mother suffering from blinding migraine. That is unbearable fever because of 3 red champak trees, which are a mile away from the poet's house. So these are the red champak trees you can see on the slide. So near the poet's house there were 3 red champak trees, and they are a mile away from the poet's house, and it is the beginning of the summer season, and he finds his mother suffering from blinding migraine. So that is unbearable fever because of these red champak trees. And then during the summer, the red champak trees flowers bloom, which then releases yellow pollen grains in the air, which according to the poet spread like clouds throughout the street, in the other words throughout the area. The pollen grains remain suspended in the air and thus do not allow the wind to get pure. It remains filled with their fragrance. So these are the pollen, the yellow pollen grains. So the day after the first rain, for years I would come home in a rage. So after the first rain, the poet, he would come home in a rage. Rage means it is violent anger, that is uncontrollable anger. For I could see from a mile away our 3 red champak trees. So it was a mile away from the poet's house. There were 3 red champak trees, you can see on the slide, had done it again, had burst into flowers and given mother her first blinding migraine. So because of this flower or the fine powder of that pollen, so with that fine powder, mother became ill, and she was attacked with this blinding migraine of that season. So, with their street long, heavy hung yellow pollen fog of a fragrance, no wind could sift. No wind could ever sift. Sift means make it clean. Regarding the yellow pollen fog, no door could shut out from our black pillared house, whose walls had ears and eyes. So he says that the poet says that no door can shut out, prevent the pollens from entering into the black pillared house. And then, according to the poet, his house walls had ears and eyes, scales, and then smells, bone creaks nightly, visiting voices, and were porous like humans. So the poet personifies the house, saying that, like us, it is also suffering from the bombardment of pollen grains that are coming inside it through the holes, which are like the pores of the human body. So the human bodies will have very, very, very small pores on the skin, which are not visible. From those pores only sweat will be coming out. So in the same way, the house of the poet also, though they shut the doors and the windows, and they take so much prevention, like the pores of the human skin, from there, don't know from where it comes, but the fine pollen grain powder comes inside and it affects the poet's mother. So the poet finally tells his mother that he is going to cut the trees, which flashes rage and anger in her head, which is full of sweat and pain due to migraines. So, poet, he will be telling his mother finally that he is going to cut down those trees in which flashes rage and anger in her head, which is full of sweat and pain due to migraine. So due to migraine, she is getting headache and she is full of migraines and she is full of sweat. So the poet compares her anger with twisted silver, which either on the roof or in the balcony, which is shining because of the wet knickers of with twisted silver, which either on the roof or in the balcony, which is shining because of the wet knickers of her mother's grandchildren, probably his children. So thus like the silver wire, his mother's head is also twisted due to severe pain. So wow, what is this migraine causing the poet's mother? The migraine is it is twisting her, it is twisting her with severe pain. So she tells the poet that the tree is as old as she is. So she here in the stanza she will be telling almost as old as she seeded, she paid by a passing bird's providential droppings. So she tells the poet that the tree is as old as she is. The age of the poet's mother and the age of the tree is the same. Its seed was seeded, and mother did not plant it nor seed it, but this red champak tree's seed, it was seeded by a passing bird's providential droppings. A bird, which is a sign of good omen, so dropped the seeds of those plants. So she believes that the bird seeded the plant so that a line of cousins, or in other words, each new generation. So here we can see in the last line, and for one line of cousins, a dower of migraines in season. And so that's why she believes that the bird seeded the plants so that a line of cousins, or in other words, each new generation, may be able to offer its basket full of annual flower to God and their daughter, probably during the marriage. And for this reason, she is all prepared to bear the pain of migraines. So you can see the basket full of flowers here on the side slide. So she is suffering from that pain due to migraines, but still she is bearing all that just because of every new generation, so that they will be enjoying with those flowers, and she wants to offer those flowers to God and their daughters in their marriage. So like that, daughters also she wants to give this basket full of flowers. So, the analysis is the poet has tried to show the difference in the views of old people belonging to the old generation, her mother, and those belonging to the new generation, that is poet. So, the old people have emotions, memories, beliefs, etc., attached to the ecology. For the poet, the red champak trees have no use. Their pollens pollute the air, and thus the city, they cannot be prevented from entering the houses and the human body. So this is the summary. This is the summary of this poem, that is Ecology. So that is what makes her consider her suffering a small sacrifice. So she is bearing that suffering, and she is telling that it is a small sacrifice which she is giving to the tree. So this is about the summary of the poem, that is Ecology, which is written by A.K. Ramanujan. So it is a characteristic Ramanujan poem, and then the speaker's attitude will be reflecting the feeling with tradition and an ionic self distancing. So the poem progresses on the basis of series of contrasts we have seen, and his rage and the mother's stoic acceptance of her discomfort. So though she is discomfortable with the migraine, but still she is stoic. She is stoic towards the suffering and the pain. And then we also see the association of the trees with family and the family experiences. So the poet, he skillfully and very carefully he will be connecting all these, and the poem, it highlights about the relationship between human beings and nature, and conveys the need for protecting our environment. So, this ecology, it is the political movement concerned with the protection of the environment. So, it is the branch of biology that deals with the relation of organisms to one another and to their physical surroundings. So, we have another post reading activity too in this, where you can do it. So, A.K. Ramanujan, he has translated a popular folk tale called A Flowering Tree, which he described a story of women's ecology. So, we have to try and find the story and see how it relates to the poem Ecology. And Guy Partel's poem also, it is on killing a tree. It gives a graphic account of the violence involved in the destruction of trees. So read Patel's poem in tandem with Ramanujan's poem Ecology. And Nissim Ezekiel too, he is a contemporary of Ramanujan, and then he has a well-known poem titled, that is Night of the Scorpion. Everybody is aware of this poem, that is Night of the Scorpion. So try and find the poem and compare the characters of the mothers in the two poems. So you can see the love of mothers and how they are concerned about. So this we have to find out, and then so so we have to we have to do the post reading activity. Find out and do the post reading activity, all the three topics. So he is A.K. Ramanujan, and these are the champak trees, and these are the yellow pollen grains, and these are the basket of flowers. So, with this, we have completed the poem Ecology, which is written by A.K. Ramanujan. Thank you.